what impact might have this event in the next day of the U.S. citizens?
No, well, thank you for asking, and it's a really important question. I'll start by underlining that I think all of us, all Americans, were appalled by the images that we saw of the death of George Floyd in police custody. But this was not just about one individual. And the demonstrations, the peaceful protests that you have seen across the United States over the past week or 10 days now, are not just about this one individual. It's about the system and how to achieve systemic reform. Many of these are issues that go back 150 years to our Civil War. They are issues where we have continuing work to do to perfect our democracy. I was reminded yesterday, I had the honor of going to see the president of your parliament. And I always enjoy talking with him because he's a walking encyclopedia of Greek political history. And he talked to me about a letter that was sent, I guess almost 55 years ago from President Johnson. It was to the president of Turkey on the Cyprus problem. But what's really interesting is that letter was sent the same week as the passage of the Voting Rights Act in the U.S. Congress in 1964. It was one of the most important single pieces of legislation up until that point in terms of helping to build a system of equal justice for all, which is what our Constitution promises. And it was a reminder that even at this very tumultuous time in U.S. history, we are still a global power with global responsibilities and global engagement. And I think that applies just as much today as it did under President Johnson 55 years ago. I also think if you look back to where we were in 1964, the United States has made great progress. 12 years ago, we elected our first African-American president. That was unimaginable in 1964. We have enormous injustice that still has to be overcome. And I think what's really interesting about the demonstrations you've seen in America recently is that this is not a partisan issue. These are people from all classes, from all backgrounds, and across the political spectrum. But they are saying we need to live up to our ideals. And that's the great strength of America. We have a society in which the freedom of expression is a constitutionally protected principle, a society in which we all enjoy the right to vote, in part because of that act under President Johnson in 1964, and a society in which we continue to work to overcome the shortcomings, which we will admit to. And I think also, if you look at the wave of protests across the United States and look at the statements that are coming from our mayors, from our local leaders, from our governors, American democracy is alive and well and will be stronger because of this experience.